My name is Juan Peralta. I'm a re-recording mixer at Skywalker Sound, and I mix the effects for Formula One. What makes F1 exciting is that it is the peak of motorsport racing. It is the top of the top. One of the edicts we got from the producers of this movie was to try to make it as authentic as possible, but at the same time trying to explain it to people that maybe don't know Formula One or don't really have any kind of reference to racing in general. We also were making a fun movie. You know, we want people to enjoy it and just be on for the ride. F1 was very helpful for us in getting us footage, getting us sounds. Our editorial team here was in charge of categorizing all that stuff and cataloging it. Here are all the cars coming to this corner, and this is the gears they're in, and this is how fast they were going, and this is where they're braking. As long as we had all those recordings, we were able to create a palette of what we needed for that sequence. Al Nelson, who's our sound designer, sound supervisor on this show, his job was to try to find the right car sound from all those recordings we got from F1. One is going to be for Joshua, and one's going to be for Sonny. And then the question was, how do we make it cinematic? How do we make it interesting? How do we make it big? We went ahead and took all the sound effects for this movie, and we split them up into 12 categories, and each category is represented here with on one of these faders. I have 2 faders here allocated for Foley. I have 6 faders here allocated for all the backgrounds that you hear. That includes crowds and wind and air. Then I have 12 more groups all dedicated to cars. Now within these 12 groups of cars, we went ahead and split up our hero cars, so each one of them gets their own group. So Joshua's car is on this fader, for example. Sonny's car is on this fader, and then all the rest of the other cars are a mix of the rest of this grouping here. I have these last 2 or 3 faders dedicated to sound design. So we have some whoosh buys. We have some elements that'll help accentuate some of the buys of the cars when they get really close to camera. And then all this playing together is what creates the final effects track of the movie. I'm going to go ahead and play you an example. This is going to be Joshua taking off after the red flag in Abu Dhabi. Okay, so now I'm going to play Sonny's angle. So then, what all the cars sound like as they take off. On there, you also heard, we have all the details of the tires hitting the curbs, the tires braking or smoking, if they lock up slightly. All that stuff is kind of kept separately as well, so I have individual control in case Joe wants to accentuate any certain part of the sequence. So one of the things we did on this cut here is we tried to hit it hard with this sparking thing that you'll see on the undercarriage of the car. So that buy right there, that's kind of a sound designy element that we wanted to do to accentuate the car by coming right past camera. By the way, everything we've just played is at the exact same level as it plays in the final mix of the film. So once you add the dialogue and the music and everything, you'll notice it feels like it's really loud on its own, but once you play it all together, it just sits right into the mix here.
Tell JP to follow my lead.
Joshua, Sonny says to follow him.
Follow! He's behind me! Cheeky bastard!
That's it, stay with me.
He's giving you a tow. Take it.
All away!
We wanted to give every race its own character and its own vibe. A good example of this is in the Silverstone race at the very beginning of the movie. We drop into what would be Brad Pitt's point of view. Once we do that, I treat that completely different. Now I'm going to try to put the audience in the perspective of sitting in that vehicle as it's going 100, close to 200 miles an hour, cutting through traffic. That's how I decided to make it slightly different. Once you're on board, now we're going to feel some low end. Now you're going to feel like your seat is shaking a little bit, and now you're feeling like you're in the car. Okay, so now here we are in the Silverstone sequence. This is Sonny's first race back in Formula One. This is the first time we're actually getting a real taste of the Formula One race in this movie. Joe Kosinski, in his pursuit of, trying to create a very authentic movie, we wanted every race to sound slightly different. So in this scene, he basically said, let's try this with no music whatsoever. So in that case, I had to really make sure that the effects department is being able to carry the scene with effects only. Thankfully, we still have dialogue and PA. We have to hold our own for the entirety of this race. So I am going to play what the crowds sound like first on their own through the sequence. Let's go to the very start of the actual race. So this is going to be start of Silverstone, crowds, and backgrounds. Okay, so that is the beginning of the race. The crowds are very excited for the race to start, so you'll hear them a lot bigger and a lot more prevalent at the start-finish line. Then as you see Sonny going through the crowds and the grandstands, you'll start to hear blooms of crowd going through depending on where they are on the screen. They're going to be on the left-hand side of the room, the right-hand side of the room, or all around us. So now, this is effects only on the start of Silverstone. Going into Silverstone with no music means I have a bigger palette to kind of fill. I did more crowd work in that race than I would normally do in other races, for example. So anytime the car is going through grandstands, you're going to hear the crowd kind of bloom up as the car goes by, and then as it leaves that grandstand, you're going to hear it die down until the next grandstand comes up. So that's one of the elements. A lot of it also was a lot more downshifting and upshifting. You're going to hear that more clearly in Silverstone than you would in other races. The one thing you'll get at Silverstone is you're going to get way more detailed racing environment stuff than you would in the other races, since we're making space for music and we're making space for other things. To me, watching other people watch the movie is very satisfying, because the reactions they have are all the things that I was always thinking about while we were working on the film. I always kept it interesting and fresh, and a lot of the reactions that we got was they could sit and watch another hour of it, which was always a good thing. I love storytelling, so to me every movie is a challenge on how we can tell the story in the best way possible. How does sound going to accentuate all these emotions and all these different parts of the movie? Every movie I work on, I feel like I can't wait to get started, because I know it's going to be different. The people are going to be different. The experience is going to be completely different. And then, of course, how's it going to sound in the theater? How are people going to respond? The great thing about Joe is that he's not afraid to try things. He's not afraid to go bigger, to go louder, to not. He's one of those guys that is just all about the story, the emotion. I want to feel that. Gary and I bring something to the table. Joe knows what he wants. Steven also has his ideas. We all work together, we all try things, we all do things, and whatever Joe responds to positively, that ends up what's in the movie.